Hello, and welcome to Inspiration Attacks Masterclass Chronic Pain. The hardest part is letting go of the judgment you hear when you are taking care of yourself, whether that's from you or others or both. I want to thank you for joining me today. My name is Ellen Begay. If you've heard some of my other videos, you know I am a wife, mom, daughter, sister, friend, and I am sure in some stories a complete bitch. In 2016, I went to the ER for a panic attack. This was the first time I went to the ER thinking I was having a heart attack. I went and they put me on the usual anti-anxiety meds, and I ended up switching jobs because I was sure it was where I was, and went from one disaster to another. And from that one to another and to another, where I finally, in 2020, had my complete breakdown of body, mind, and soul. Ended up on medical leave, and it changed my entire life. Now it is my mission to help as many people as possible find their way through their chronic pain to be able to live the life of their dreams. It doesn't mean your pain's going to go away. I'm not going to make that promise. It's probably not. However, when managed right, there is hope. So first I want to start with defining what is chronic pain. According to the Mayo Clinic, chronic pain is defined as persistent or intermittent pain that lasts for more than 3 months. There are more than 200,000 cases per year in the U.S. Treatments can help manage the condition. However, there is no known cure, and it can last several months to several years. And unfortunately, it is more common in females because we haven't had enough to deal with, right? Let's just throw a little more. Some of the symptoms of chronic pain that a lot of people don't realize include persistent pain, so a dull ache, a throbbing, a burning, a shooting, a squeezing, a stinging, soreness, stiffness, all of these pains. Sometimes you have all of them at once. Sometimes it's one or two. Sometimes it's about half. All depends on the person, depends on the day, depends on the season. Very common places for the pain to be is in back, in joints, in the mouth, in your face. Along with it comes anxiety, fatigue, sleep deprivation, depression, all those wonderful things that are so hard to pick yourself up from. This next section is really going to be based on both things that I have been through and things that I have heard other people with chronic pain say that I could relate to. When I first received my diagnosis of fibromyalgia, it gave me this sense of relief. I finally had a name to go with it, so I wasn't crazy. So much of your time is spent questioning yourself because you go, God, I'm not old enough to feel like this. I haven't had any other symptoms of anything, so why would it hit me now? I've been to the doctor thousands of times and nothing has ever shown up. Why am I in so much pain? Now I'm going and getting the MRIs and everything else. I finally have something that's a diagnosis. Okay, great. Now we can fix it, right? Yes and no. You have the relief because there is finally a name to it. And it feels good to have somebody actually acknowledge what you kept feeling, but nobody could see. And when nobody can see it, including you, nobody believes it, right? You're lazy, or you're trying to get out of work, or all these other things. But along with that relief of finally knowing what you have is the frustration. If you were to go to the ER with a broken leg, they would be able to take an x-ray, see that your leg is broken, do whatever they need to do to set it, mend it, whatever, put a cast on it, and give you instructions, and probably maybe a few pain pills. I don't know if they still do that or not. When you have chronic pain, it doesn't show up on x-rays and scans and so on. So when you're in the ER saying that you are at level 10 pain and you don't know what else to do and you are in tears, they treat you like you are a drug seeker. Now let me tell you, majority of my life, I can tell you I've probably taken extreme painkillers maybe 7 times in my life. Whenever I was prescribed these pills, most of the time I wouldn't take them because I didn't like how they made me feel. They made me feel loopy, and I didn't like that. I wanted to be able to, I didn't live in conditions where I could have the luxury of not being coherent. So I didn't take the pills. Then when I'm in a position where I could really use them, I can't get them to save my damn life. So there's a lot of frustration that goes along with that. There is hope. You have hope that, you're going to specialists and you're going to doctors and they're doing what they can within the parameters of insurance to get you diagnosed. And it's a frustrating process, and you feel like nobody believes you, and you feel like you're just being passed off from one doctor to the next. But really what they're trying to do is weed out everything that this could possibly be. Because, for example, fibromyalgia, lupus, I think to an extent MS, it doesn't show up. They are solely going on what you tell them you feel. And you feel like you're going crazy because you sit there and go, maybe I'm not really feeling this. Maybe it's all in my head. Maybe I'm deranged, because along with this, they send you to therapists like crazy. And so then you start to go, oh, well, it's all in my head. Yes and no. Mindfulness is something that we're going to get into. It is an amazing thing. But it doesn't mean that you're crazy. It means that you're learning how to live with the new condition that you have. And it's not an easy thing to do. So then you're back to the frustration. When you first start doing all of the things that the doctor tells you to do, you start figuring out what works and what doesn't work. You want everything to work. You believe that every single thing that they tell you is going to change your life. This pill is going to make you better. This mindset is going to make you feel better. This meditation is going to make you feel better. All of these things that it sounds like people are going to promise are going to make you feel better. Some of them might, some of them might not. And it's really a trial and error, which is very frustrating. I know for me, there were 5 or 6 pills that, there was a sweet spot of about a week where those pills worked really well until they didn't anymore. And then you go back up in dose, or then you go down in dose, and you have to keep going according to how you feel, but it can be 6 weeks before you even know how you feel. And the longer you go through it, the more you get inside your head, and the more you're telling yourself that you're worthless, that you're not good enough, that everybody else has pain that they work through. Why can't you do it? And once you get in that spiral, you start feeling crazy, and people start treating you like you're just wanting to get attention. We talked about that a little bit. And, there's a wonderful website that I'm going to talk about a little bit later, and it's called You Don't Look Like You're in Pain. Because that is the number one thing that people say to people who are in chronic pain. Oh, but you look so good. Yes, it's practiced. Now, the really fun kick to your ego is when you are going to the doctor, you are told that you need to exercise and you need to practice mindfulness. So you're sitting there in extreme pain going, I can't stand to even walk to my kitchen, and you want me to do some regiment of exercise? I can't do that. What kind of fresh hell is this? I told my doctor one time, when I do get to the point where I can actually go for a walk, I go for like 5 miles. And it hurts like fucking hell. But I hurt just as badly if I walk to the end of the block and back to my house. So if I go for 5 miles, at least it's worth it, right? If I can't get out of bed for 2 days afterwards, I feel like I did something more than walk to the end of the block and back. And this was a huge thing for my mental health. But something that I discovered is you don't necessarily have to go on some big extravaganza. My exercise consists of doing the dishes, dancing around the house, cleaning a room. That could be that I just vacuumed it. It could be that I only picked up a few things, but I did something to clean that room. I go up and down the stairs. It's both a blessing and a curse, because part of fibro is fibro fog, so you forget things all the time. I have this wonderful habit of getting myself something to eat or getting myself something to drink in the kitchen, and my bedroom is downstairs. So I will get everything together, it's ready to go, and I will go downstairs and I will crawl into bed, and son of a bitch, everything I got is still upstairs. So now I have to go up the stairs again. Sounds simple enough, right? When I get up just the first landing of stairs, my legs will start throbbing so much it feels like I have climbed a mountain. So when I have to turn around and do it again, it's like climbing a mountain after you already climbed a mountain. And so sometimes it depends on how hungry or thirsty I am, how badly I want whatever it was that I left upstairs, on whether I go up there or not again. I can get to the top of the stairs and need to sit down for 15 minutes before I can go and get whatever it is I wanted out of the kitchen and go back down the stairs again. So this is exercise. I do a little bit of yoga. I have severe back and hip pain. I have had x-rays, I have had MRIs, I have had ultrasounds, I have had everything, and nothing shows up anywhere. But the pain can get to a level 10. Most people are in the ER at a level 10. I used to go to the ER at a level 10. I don't anymore, because it's usually fibro, it's really expensive, and I can't afford the tests. So I stay home and I try to do yoga, and I try to stretch, and I try to be mindful and to do my meditations. And when I find that when I am doing all of this, it is easier to manage my pain. My pain doesn't go away by doing these things. However, let's take meditation, for example. Through the practice that I have done, I can now lay in meditation and visualize my pain rising up out of my body. When I'm done with this meditation, it's not like I can go and run a marathon all of a sudden. I'm not all of a sudden athletic and can bounce around the house and I'm normal again. But I can go up the stairs again. I can do some dishes. I can wipe down a counter. And these are big successes. So part of the mindfulness part of this was changing from, I can't do anything, I can only do, yeah, I could do that, but not really. When I changed all of that mindset to do the dishes today, not only did I do the dishes today, but I folded a load of laundry. And I edited some video. And I took a bath. This is a huge, huge day for me. Yes, celebrate. This is amazing. When you start cheering yourself on for those little things that you're doing, it helps quiet that voice that constantly tells you you're not good enough, you're not doing the right things, you're lazy. Because let me tell you, when you live with chronic pain, you are none of those things. If getting up and walking from your bedroom to the bathroom and back to the bedroom again is all that you can do, celebrate that shit. Be so incredibly proud of yourself. Because you didn't have to use a bedpan, right? One of my many, many sheroes is Christine, and I'm not even going to attempt the last name because I will butcher it. But Christine is who came up with what is called the spoon theory. The spoon theory was something she came up with during a lunch with a friend. She was trying to explain what it was like to live with lupus and the limited energy that you have. She gathered spoons and equated them to the energy she had to offer each day. She broke it up into 4 different levels. So if you look over to the right, 1 spoon activities are things like getting out of bed, getting dressed, taking pills, watching TV. 2 spoon activities could be something like taking a bath, styling your hair, surfing the internet, reading or studying, keeping that focus. 3 spoon activities can look like making a meal and eating it, making plans to socialize, doing light housework, driving somewhere. Maybe a 4 spoon activity is going to work or school. Maybe going shopping. Maybe going to the doctor. Maybe exercising. Now, imagine if you only had 12 spoons a day. How would you use those spoons? Because if we look at it, let's say you get up out of bed, you get dressed, and you take pills. There's 3 of your 12 spoons. Then you take a shower and you do your hair. That's 7 spoons. You make and eat some breakfast. There's 10. You haven't even gotten out of the door yet and you have 2 spoons left for the day, for the entire day. And you still need to go to work, or you still need to go to the grocery store or to the doctor, or, as we were talking about, exercise, right? Just because you start off with 12 spoons doesn't necessarily mean that when you take rests in between, you'll be able to get up to a full 12 again. So let's say after getting ready and doing all of those things, you lay down for half an hour, you meditate. Maybe you get 2 or 3 spoons back. When you look at the things that need to be done and how many spoons you have left, remember, watching TV takes a spoon. Surfing the internet takes 2. So if you replenished 3 spoons, you've already used them up just by watching TV and surfing the internet. These aren't strenuous things. But when you have chronic pain, they really are. And the more you try to push, the more you try, fake it till you make it, right? Like we've all been told. Let's say you decide, okay, I'm going to convince myself that I have 15 spoons and you have chronic pain. If you push through and you use those 15 spoons, you're either going to be in bed for the next 2 days or you're going to be in the ER that night because the pain that you have. So part of being mindful is looking at the things that you need to do throughout the day and what you're willing to spend your spoons on. You start taking a look at the relationships that are in your life. Now, I know you are going to have somebody that pops in your mind as soon as I say this. There are people in your life that just talking to them for 5 minutes can take 4 spoons. Take a look at those things that it takes for 4 spoons on that list again. One conversation, one 10-minute conversation with certain people in your life will rob you of your spoons. So when you start getting more protective of your spoons, that's when you start cutting people out of your life that you never thought you would. You stop doing things in your life that were so important to you that just all of a sudden aren't that important anymore. And yes, part of that can be depression. I know that's on the list of what happens with people who are depressed is they stop doing the things that they love. But sometimes that's also an energy shift. One that needs to be done so that you can start using your energy to fuel yourself, to be able to do things for yourself. And of course, we're always told not to be selfish. So that's going to do a whole nother little war. There's all kinds of things that you're going to come up against. But there's a reason why we call them hurdles, because you can get over them. Now, I'm not saying that in just get over it kind of thing. It takes work. It takes practice. Somebody in the Olympics isn't going to just start jumping over those hurdles the way that they do. It takes years of dedication and practice. The same thing is true when you have chronic pain. It is going to take practice. It's going to take practice to meditate. It's going to take practice to journal. It's going to take practice to start quieting that negative voice in your head. But the good news is you can do it. It is possible. And sometimes possible is all you need, right? So one of the incredibly important things that you need to do for yourself when you have chronic pain, especially when you're at the beginning and you're learning how to communicate everything with your doctor, first thing to remember is nobody knows you better than you. You know what your pain feels like. You know what your head feels like. You know if you don't feel like yourself. You are the only one that can speak up on that behalf. If you're waiting for somebody to recognize that you're in pain and do something about it for you, it's never going to happen. Especially if you're still going to work or still, active and going, because you either consciously or you have either consciously or subconsciously started hiding your pain because you got tired of people commenting on it or asking about it or anything like that, or hearing, oh, but you don't look like you're in pain. So you have, as a defense, brought your body to a point where it doesn't show the pain anymore. So now you're sitting there screaming inside your head, dying for somebody to recognize the amount of pain that you are in, and nobody ever is because you hide it so well. There's a few people that are really close to you that will be able to see it. But the majority of people, they're not going to see it. They're not going to understand it. So you need to record everything, which leads us to journal, so that when you're talking to your doctor, you're able to tell your doctor exactly what's going on with you. There are apps where you can record your pain levels and where your pain is and give an explanation on if you know what triggered it that day and things like that. And in order to know those, you have to look within. You have to be mindful of what's happening with your body, feeling what you're feeling instead of pushing things away. Along with that, I do want to throw out there for those apps, it can also get inside your head if you are every single day putting in there, I'm at a level 7, I'm at a level 8, I'm at a level 9, I'm at a level 10, and you're seeing the red on the body every time you select a body part. That is very disheartening. And it can really send you in a downward spiral. So don't do it every day. Do it 1 week on, 1 week off, 1 week on, 1 week off. Again, be mindful of how it's making you feel and how you're reacting to all of it, and do it accordingly. And then when you bring it to your doctor, you can say, I didn't get every single day because I found that after doing it 5 days in a row, I would talk myself into a flare because I was so hyper-focused on when I was in pain. And I realize it's 24/7. I just can hide it from myself a little better on other days, things like that. So be careful of how detailed you're getting and how often you're doing it. Take breaks, explain those breaks. Your doctor's going to understand. It doesn't have to be 100%. It doesn't have to be perfect. We will do future classes on letting go of perfection. Right now, we're trying to deal with the pain. So our next spot is to meditate. Spoke a little bit earlier about I've gotten to the point where I can meditate and I can visualize the pain rising up out of my body, kind of like steam from a fresh pizza. I couldn't do that at the beginning. It took me years to get to the point where I could do that. There's so many times, I know for myself, when I started the meditation, I would get so upset and so frustrated with myself because I couldn't do it for longer than 30 seconds. Now I'm to the point where I can do it for an hour. I'm not actually falling asleep. I'm actually in a meditative state. And I can visualize what it's like to have a body without pain. And for a few moments in that meditation, I can actually believe that I'm pain-free. Now, my understanding is there are people that can do it a lot longer, and I strive to be one of those people. I'm not there yet. But there are people who can do these meditations and can put themselves outside of their bodies where they're not feeling the pain. as a normal for them. These people didn't start doing this overnight. They have practiced and practiced and practiced. And part of that practice was becoming aware of when your body hurts, of what things are your triggers. Is it because there's weather that's coming in? Did you have an argument and that sent you into a flare? Did you have to go and pick somebody up and drive for an hour and now your body is convulsing because you went too far? What are your parameters? How many spoons do you have? How many can you use? What can you adjust in your life? Sometimes there's going to be things that you think can't be adjusted, and the universe is going to come along and it's going to adjust it, because you have to make that adjustment to be able to carry on. So then it's going to feel like the whole world is imploding. That'll be another topic for another time. There are so many things that go along with chronic pain. And addressing just, one thing or the other isn't a balance in your life, and it's not going to make things better. But when you can find that balance and you can keep trying and you can become aware of what is going on in your body and how it's going on and where it's coming from and all of these things, and you find balance in all of them, you can find your times that you're able to do things that you didn't think you could do. The reason that I know this is because doing these videos, putting everything together that you're seeing right now, I have been practicing and fighting for, hardcore, I guess, since 2020. But when I look back over my life, I have been fighting this for decades. And now I'm changing the tools that I have used that weren't actually doing good for myself. And by making those changes now that are good for myself, it gives me a more positive outlook on my future, because I took the time to really go through and heal things that I hadn't healed yet. Now, that doesn't mean I don't have things that I still need to heal. Oh, Lord, do I ever. It does not mean that I have perfect days every day. But I am out of bed more than I am in bed. And if you would have told me 3 years ago that would be the case, there is no chance in hell I would have believed you. So I know it works because I've done it. Pain will change you. Don't ever let it define you. That's when you're stuck and you're unhappy and you can't find a way through. Find it. As long as you have one little tiny, insy, bincy, little tiny speck of hope, little itty bitty tiny little speck of light, it's possible. Through everything that I do, I appreciate feedback so much. I have listed here my email, my Facebook, my Patreon. If you just scan the little QR code with the camera on your phone, it should take you right to the site. So as far as for Facebook, answer the questions, join the group. As far as Patreon, this is a way that you can contribute to really any social content person. There's 3 different tiers that you can check out. All the details are on there. Just scan the QR code and you'll be able to see all of it. I want to thank you so much for being here, joining me today. I hope that the things that I have said have made a difference to you or have caused an aha moment. Like I said, please let me know. Send those questions, send those aha moments. Anything that you're just like, oh my God, whatever it is, send it to me. Whatever you are going through right now, Just focus on the next 5 steps. It can get overwhelming. And if you don't know how to focus on the next 5 steps, you can check out my 5-step series. It'll walk you through it. I hope that you have an amazing day. I want to thank you for joining me, and I want you to remember, stay inspired.